So what we're going to do in this lab is we're going to hook up 120 volts to our PLC. Now, I kind of already showed you before, but if you go ahead and you look right here on the bottom, there's going to be these 3 terminals right here. Now, these 3 terminals are labeled L1. So L1 is going to be our actual hot coming in. So that's going to be our black wire. There's going to be an L2, which is an L2N. It's actually going to say L2/N on it, okay? And I'll have an up-close picture, hopefully, underneath this video, where that way you can actually see those terminals if you're struggling, all right? And then the last one is going to be the ground symbol, and I will make sure I have that ground symbol there so you guys can see it. Remember, it's pretty much a straight down line with a few stacked lines that make a triangle, okay? So that's going to be our ground. So one thing I'm going to do, it's not required by you guys, is I'm going to put my PLC way over on the board over here. That way I have all this room to put all my my inputs and my outputs on, but you guys can put them wherever you want. So I won't be doing a video showing me actually wiring it, but I am going to go ahead and wire it really quick, and I'm going to show you guys what it should look like when you're done. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Alright, I know it's kind of hard to see from where you guys are at, but all I've done is I went and I've done my 3 wires. You know, I got my black, I got my neutral, and I got my green common. And I ran my black hot through a fuse, goes up, goes into the terminal over here, and then I just ran my neutral and my ground separately, just around and up into those 3 terminals. Let's go ahead and let's take a closer look at that, just so you guys can see. Alright, so here they are. You can see the 3 wires coming up, and they're each going to their, you know, respective terminal. It's pretty easy. Just make sure that you actually get the right wire to the right terminal. You know, make sure the hot's going in the L1, make sure the neutral is going to L2, and make sure that the ground is going to that ground symbol, okay? So let's back out. Now, it might be kind of hard to see, but I went ahead and I powered up my PLC, and you can see that it's got power right now. And this light should come on here. If you ever do not have this light, or something is up with this light, maybe it'd be blinking, there's something more than likely wrong with that circuit that we just put together. Your 120 volt circuit right there is an easy troubleshoot. It'll be right on that faceplate, okay? Along with that power not probably being on or blinking or something like that, you probably will see a fault, and this will be a red light, and it's going to be right there. It's the 3rd one down. I don't know if you guys can really see that, but that is our faulted light. So if that's on and you really haven't hooked up anything or done anything, more than likely you have that 120 volt circuit wired wrong, okay? Very common for people to wire this circuit wrong, so something to check out. Right now I haven't even, like, PLC is not set up at all. Like, this is literally the first time I think I put power to it. So there's some kind of odd things about how this will have a run light on, and then right here this is the forced light. So that means that there's like some sort of forces inside of our program. So we'll explain that as we get a little bit further in, what a force is, but it's pretty much when you go in and you manually turn a instruction on or off, and you can force it on or you can force it off, okay? And that's just letting you know that you have some of those in the program somewhere, okay? So as we get a little bit further in, I'll kind of show these a little bit more, maybe to you guys, but that's kind of all you need to know. So what I'm going to do is I want to grab that schematic of what we're doing in the next 3 activities, or this activity plus the next 2, so that way you can see where I'm getting this information from, and if you ever need it, you can kind of go back and find it for yourself, okay? So let's check that out.
Alright guys, so here is our schematic that we're going to be kind of working off of, and this one is out of the Allen Bradley handbook for our PLC. It actually covers all PLCs that are 1100 series, so there is some kind of similarities between all of them, so sometimes there's some kind of fill in the blank, kind of read between the lines type stuff, but I wanted to show you that they actually have the schematic that we're going to be working off of in the book. It's on page... it doesn't look like, oh, page 30. Okay, so it's page 30. If we go up 1 page, it also has this for the IEC symbols. So if you guys like these a little better, you guys can look at this. It's identical, okay? But I do like this one down here. It's the ANSI CSA symbols, okay? So we're going to kind of be looking at each schematic or each circuit individually, okay? So Over here on the left, up here in this top left corner, we have our L1 and our L2. So we already have hooked those up and kind of explained that. Now the incoming power for this one is going to be, our 230 volts AC right here. We are going to have 120 volts coming in, and that's the actual power that we're going to be needing, okay? More than likely the PLC that you're going to be working with will be 480, it'll be 240, 230, or whatever. But ours, we don't have to worry about that. But typically you would go from a high voltage, you would come into a transformer. The transformer would also maybe have a filter or something like that on there just to clean that power up. But after that, you can see that it drops into a fuse, which is the fuse that we installed on our hot side, our black wire, and then our X2 is just going to come out here. Now, it has a ground right here, but all of these have grounds already put into them, so you don't have to do this, and we're not going to. But just know that if you were out there inside of an electrical panel, they probably would ground it at this point, okay? So we're going to come down, and we can see that it actually splits off into different circuits a couple times here. This one right here, this big guy right here that looks like a motor control, this is actually going to be our e-stop circuit, and we'll talk about that in our next video. But if you come straight down over to this black dot, and we come over to the right, and then down again, you can see that we have our terminal connections to our power supply, and you can see our PLC is right here. We are actually running this B8 1763 L16 BWA, okay? So this is one terminal or one power wire coming in, and this is our other one right here going back up, okay? So we pretty much just wired that, all right? So some of the other things I want to point out in our next video, like I said, we're going to talk about this big section, this nasty one right here, and that's going to be our e-stop. Another thing I want to point out right here, these ones that go straight have another fuse that are our 230 power. So this would be like the power that would go to a contactor, to a motor. So it's going to be a high voltage that we're going to be controlling with a contactor. And if we go all the way down here, you can see our DC power supply, which we are going to be adding in here pretty quick, okay? You can also see that it's connection to a 24-volt DC terminal of the power supply, and that is either something you can buy as an add-on. It could be coming from the PLC. We're going to be having our own DC power supply, and we're going to show you that 2 videos from now, okay? Otherwise, that's kind of this area over here, this 120 volt. This is kind of what we're working with today, and that you kind of need to be paying attention to, all right? So go ahead and you're going to hook up this 120 volts to your PLC. You're going to flip it on. You're going to take a picture or even make a video, whatever you guys want to do, and submit that as your lab. Please make sure that if it's already hooked up, you need to unhook it and then rehook it up. If you submit somebody else's lab, just know that is cheating in this class. So make sure you're not taking somebody else's already hooked up thing and reusing it, all right? Again, page 30, and I will have this schematic linked underneath. And if you guys have any more questions, linked underneath the video. I'll have the schematic linked underneath the video. But if you have any more questions, please come talk to me.